Hello, and welcome to another short box from Warhammer 40k's Grim History from the Beyond. I'm Zeckthar, and this week we'll be discussing a minor character from the history of the Eldari, or should I say, the Eldar. Yes, that strange race that has been around since the Old One's defeat, and whose lust and desecration cost them everything. While the destruction of their race is very important to the lore of the Milky Way, remember, this is a short box, and while I do not have the time to get into the rise and fall of the Eldar, we must talk about some of the minor heroes that are fairly important to this history. This week we will be discussing the elusive Ranger Illic Nightspear, also known as Sentinel of the Stars and the Wayforger.
Now before we get into Illic, we have to give a little background on the Eldari Rangers. Rangers are the scouts of the Asuryani craft worlds, well-trained survivalists and marksmen able to find the eye sockets and neck joints of even the most heavily armored enemy troops with their long rifles. The most skilled of the Eldari Rangers are known as Pathfinders. The Rangers' solitary existence is due mainly because they follow the path of the Outcast. You see, each hive world follows strict rules and practices to keep their emotions in check. They do this so that she who thirsts, also known as Slaanesh, has a harder time finding them. Slaanesh, the fourth god of chaos, was created by the Eldar during the fall, which is fairly fascinating, but alas. Remember, short fox. She who thirsts hungers for every Eldari soul, and the rigid rules and practices followed by all the Eldari is called the Asuryani path. Yet there are some whose souls require more freedom and need the ability to express themselves, and they follow the path of the Outcast. These are the Rangers. And the most notable of the Pathfinders is Illic Nightspear. To the Eldari, he is a legend. To the younger races, he is a nightmare that eliminates targets with a single shot from his long rifle called Voidbringer. To put the Eldar's thoughts into mind, I shall quote, "We move like ghosts across the galaxy that was once ours. Silently we walk upon the ruins of the cities and across the bones of worlds. Our every kill a reminder to our enemies that though our light grows dim, the Eldar will have their vengeance." Pretty dark, huh? Over the centuries, Illic's great knowledge has benefited the Eliatok and its fellow craft worlds remarkably. He has guided countless Eldari warhosts through the winding paths of the webway to battle against the foes of the craft worlds of the Eldari. His worth to the Asuryani cause does not end with his arrival on the field of war. His accuracy with the long rifles unmatched in all the galaxy, and Orc warlords, Necron overlords, Astra Militarum generals, and Chaos champions have all met their end under his watchful gaze. Legends fall like footprints in his wake, telling that he fights against the rise of the Necrons, that he searches for the lost seer stones, or that he seeks to transcend the mortal plane altogether. Now, while these legends are all indeed spectacular, the one I wish to go into is the one where he is captured by his greatest foes, the Necrons, and finds an unlikely ally, that of a human. During his last crusade against the Necrons, he was captured by the overlord Zahndrekh of the Zahndrekh dynasty. Cuffed in heavy chains, the overlord took the Ranger wherever he went, until he started a campaign against the Tau on the planet of Konavar, routing the planetary defenders after 2 standard weeks of campaigning. Necron victory was short-lived, however. A demi company of the White Scars Space Marine chapter, led by Kor'sarro Khan, arrived on Konavar, pursuing a now obsolete punitive mission against the previous Tau inhabitants. An overwhelming volley of gauze weapon fire destroyed the White Scars Thunderhawks moments after they landed, leaving the Khan and his battle brothers to fight a bold, but doomed, series of hit-and-run battles. Almost all the White Scars were slain on the Unzami plains, but Zahndrekh commanded that Kor'sarro Khan be spared and imprisoned. It is here that Illic met a strange brother in arms, the White Scar captain Kor'sarro Khan. While Illic despised the human for what he was, an interloper to the Eldari space, a grudging respect was found as the two shared a holding cell. Then again, the same could be said about Khan, who viewed all Xenos as an abomination. Yet this one had the same goal as he, to escape. If I believe I'm correct on this. The term is, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Thus, the captain and the ranger began a peculiar period of captivity between the surface of Kor'sarro. Zahndrekh treated them with honor, though few of the other Necron lords even acknowledged their presence. This is where I find Zahndrekh to be most interesting. Instead of treating these prisoners as the beaten foes that most would, he treats them with a little respect. Now, mind you, not so much respect that he lets them go, but I think that also shows a different form of respect. I think this does put to bed that the Necrons are a mindless horde of unthinking zombies that descend on planets like a dark plague. Well, at least not all of them. Those at the top, I believe, have interesting, dare I say, noble attributes that most would find somewhat honorable. Yet I digress. The Overlord enjoyed the company of his prisoners so much that he in fact held a bizarre feast, where food was placed before Zahndrekh and his court, but went uneaten, truly mocking his prisoners, for after all, the Necrons don't eat. Now, mind you, this sounds very Roman to our fine listeners from Terran 42, doesn't it? Yet, it was here that the conspirators learned that they were but 2 of a dozen prisoners, with a desire for freedom outweighing any ranklement of rivalry. Khan and Nightspear, along with the other captives, conspired to escape. The Necrons were slow to react, and so the breakout went well at first. Only when Vargard Obyron took command did things go badly for the escapees. Several of the fugitives were slain by O'Brien's war scythe, leaving only Kor'sarro and Illic Nightspear to fight on, and the latter swiftly received a blow that sent him sprawling from the fight. Thus did the battle devolve to a duel, atop bleeding bodies and broken machines. Khan's sword was quicker, and guided by a desperate fury, but Obyron's undying machine body repaired any damage within only moments. Little by little, Khan tired, and the sweeping war scythe came closer and closer to connecting with each swing. Finally, one of Vargard's blows was too swift for Khan to evade. The war scythe sliced through his armor and bit deep into his flesh. But before Obyron could finish his foe, there was an intervention from an unexpected source. Unknown to either combatants, Zahndrekh had been watching the fight from afar, and impressed by the Khan's skill and bravery, ordered Obyron to stand aside and let him leave. Confused, Kor'sarro dragged the crippled Nightspear out, and finally escaped to the surface, found a still functional Tau spacecraft, and left Kor'sarro far behind. Khan and Nightspear parted ways shortly after, with a begrudging respect, and perhaps a little insight on each other's race. Regardless, after splitting ways, Illic headed to his craft world, and the White Scar to Chogoris. Shortly after the Khan's return to his chapter's planet, Necron Zahndrekh and Vargard Oberon were added to the Scrolls of Vengeance, their names to be put forward as possible quarry for the next great hunt of the White Scar's chapter. And Illic? Illic has notched an emblem of Zahndrekh on his long rifle, and waits for the opportune moment to strike his foe dead, once and for all. Next week we will speak of the vile Drukhari, and more importantly, their greatest swordsmaster, Drazar. If you like this Vox, please subscribe, like, comment, and send support for our good robot helper Bob, who, as you know, needs repairing. And as always,
this is Zeckthar, signing off.